Good afternoon. Most of us, we are brought up conditioned to believe that spirituality and science are not or they cannot be connected, and that the brain should or can work independently from the soul needs and thoughts for it to be disciplined and productive. Just to challenge that very perspective, we have here today with us in Crete an internationally recognized expert and teacher of meditation, Ratzinger Singh, who was elected as the president of the World Fellowship of Religions and head of Science of Spirituality, a non-profit, non-denominational organization with 300,000 members worldwide. Born in India, he was educated as a scientist and then he received his master's degree in engineering in the United States, from where he embarked on a prestigious 20-year career in science and communications. In 1997, he received the medal in New York City, a ceremony organized by the United Nations. Welcome in Crete.
I'm very happy to be here.
Master Ratzinger Singh, you've established international headquarters and regional centers in more than 40 countries, spreading the science of spirituality. How such a journey starts? Which are the obstacles that you are coming across, particularly nowadays, and what is the pleasure of yours out of this journey?
You know, when I was studying, I went into engineering, and I did electronics engineering, got a bachelor's degree from Illinois Institute of Technology in Madras, and then did graduate work and got a master's degree from Illinois Institute of Technology in the Chicago area. So as I was going through the sciences, science taught me to evaluate things, to analyze things, to look for reasoning. I was very lucky also to have been born in a family of great spiritual masters, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj and Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj. So as a young child, I grew up in a spiritual environment where I saw my parents meditate in the morning, and so as a young child I started meditating with them, and so the spirituality became the base on which my life was being groomed. And when I went to the sciences, I started to think, how do you merge science and spirituality together? Because we always think that science and spirituality are at two ends, because many people think of spirituality as blind faith, and science is what wants proof. But what is very interesting is, as you dig deep into the spiritual aspect, you realize that spirituality, which deals with meditative practices, which deals with flights of the soul, which deals with recognizing God and trying to know God, is very repeatable. It's a practice just like science. In science we have a laboratory, and laboratory we do an experiment. And the experiment is generally guided by our teacher. When we go to school, let's say it's a chemistry lab or a physics lab, so the teachers say, okay, you put this acid and you put it on this subject and you'll get this kind of a gas come out, and you do the experiment, you see the results, and it convinces you. So similarly, to us, meditation is an experiment. The human body is the laboratory in which we experiment, and the teachings of the saints, and in all traditions, the saints and mystics have all talked about knowing God, merging with God, experiencing your soul. And so it's an experimentation on a daily basis. As you do it according to a process, then the results are repeatable. So it's not abstract, it's not blind faith, it's something that you experience for yourself.
Are there any obstacles nowadays for the meditation to be spread?
You know, today meditation has become more open than it ever was before. People are looking for calm and peace. Everyone wants to lead a life which will be joyous and happy. And they realize that as they meditate, they've been finding out many other benefits come to the human being. See, we generally should meditate for spiritual gains. We should meditate so we recognize who we are, that we are soul, we want to know God. But there are many benefits, like our concentration improves, because meditation is another means of concentrating within. As the concentration improves, then we are more efficient. So if we are in the workforce, we produce more. If we are a student, then we can grasp more of what we study. Today, the medical community is saying that stress-related illnesses, like the heart diseases and the blood pressures and breathing diseases, get helped as you calm, because meditation is a means of calming our brain waves. As you and I are talking today, as we do our day-to-day work, our brain waves work at between 12 and 20 hertz, which is 10 and 20 cycles per second. That's how the brain waves are working. But when you meditate, you can get to the state, which is called theta state, of between 4 and 8 hertz per second, so that you have a very calming effect. And the calming effect is not only for the time that you meditate, but lingers on for long periods of time. So it helps deal with the stress and strain of the day-to-day life.
Is meditation a method of revealing our inner truth? And how does that help in revealing a collective truth?
Meditation reveals to us that there is something beyond the physical body. That it's not only the physical body, it's not that we only live at the level of our physical senses. Because generally, we all live at a level of seeing with our eyes, hearing with our ears, and then smelling with our nose and tasting with our tongue, and then we have the sense of touch, the senses all over the body. So these are the 5 senses through which we operate. But as we meditate, we rise above physical body consciousness, and so we experience the truth that we are soul, we are spirit, we are conscious being. And as we have that realization, with help and guidance, as we are able to rise above physical body consciousness and get a closer connection with God, we realize that our consciousness is a part of God. A part of God is within us. When we realize that, then we realize that the part of God is within us, same part of God will be within you, the same part of God will be in someone else, same part of God will be in someone else. That we are all connected, we are all one and the same. So we, from individual truth, we get to collective truth, that we are all connected. That, we read in all of our scriptures that we are all children of the one great Father. But how do we put into practice? When we realize that we are connected to God, then the realization that we all are connected sets in, and the collective truth that even though on the outside we might look different, but on the inside we are all one and the same sets in.
Can we, the people, create a consensual domain of understanding and communication without creating a common language? According to your opinion, what is the value or the ideas that we can connect humanity under a common vision?
Yeah, there is a common language already. That's the language of love. So we can communicate with each other. Many times you find people who don't know the language that you speak, but you can communicate with them. And so we definitely can communicate. We don't need to use languages, because as we rise above physical body consciousness, as we experience the love of God, then that love of God radiates from us, and we're able to have a very fine connection with everyone else around us without having to even use any language.
Do you believe in body wisdom, and what is the way for the information to become knowledge and knowledge to be transformed into wisdom?
Yeah, we believe that the body is there for this lifetime, but what gives life to the body is the soul. So as long as the soul is in the body is alive. So when you see a person who we say is physically dead, they look exactly the same as they did when they were alive. So it's not that they shrunk, it's not that the arms are chopped off, it's not that the legs are gone. They're there, but they cannot see, they cannot hear, they cannot do anything, because the power behind the body is gone. So we feel that there's a transmigration of the soul. When the soul is in the body is alive. And so the body has then the wisdom and goes through some of the karmic roles that it has to play out, which might be coming with the soul from past existences. And so, but the body is not the be-all and end-all. Our real existence is at the level of our soul. So when the body dies, it doesn't mean that we have finished. Our soul still goes on. And so we feel that the human existence is an opportunity for the soul to know this truth and be able to then merge back in God so that it can have the union with the oversoul.
So, do you believe in afterlife?
We believe in afterlife, yeah.
Incarnation.
We believe in reincarnation. You know, recently, in the last like 30, 40 years, there's been a new field called the field of near-death experiences. People who came very close to death. I don't know if you've heard them or not. These were people who were either on a surgical table or they were in a physical trauma and all of a sudden found an existence beyond their body. You know, the body, the doctors and nurses are working on them, and they say, we are near the ceiling, and they could see the doctors and nursing work on them, and then they say, we went through the walls of the operating table, operating theater, and we could see our family members in the waiting room, because they could describe them who was there. And then many talked about going like hundreds of miles away. Some said, I met this family member, this friend. But then they said they all ended up in a region of light, where there was tremendous light. And many talked about meeting the founders of their faiths. Many talked about meeting a being of light. And many talked about finding so much love that they did not want to come back. They also talked about like a life review, where the important aspects of their life were shown to them. Not only could they see them, they could feel the effects of what they did. So if they brought joy to someone, they could feel the happiness that they gave to someone. If they brought pain to someone, they could feel the pain. But they were told that irrespective of how they lived, they got love from the being of light. It wasn't their time to go, so they were back in the body. And they recounted their experiences. So in the beginning, everyone thought they were crazy. You know, it's like, look, are you really truthful? But in 1978, the first book on this subject came out. It was by Dr. Raymond Moody called Life After Life. And then one of the great researchers recently is Dr. Melvin Morse. And he came to our center in Chicago a few years ago. We had a very nice conversation for a couple of hours. And he came up with a book called Transformed by the Light, which was the experiences or the changes that happened in these people's life 10 years after the experience. It's very interesting that all of them had gone into professions which are loving and caring, like the medical profession, the community help fields where they could be helping to someone. They all started to go more to the places of worship. They all were getting more religious and spiritual. And they realized that when they got love, then they returned love. That's the way of living.
What does the term truth means for you? Do you believe that truth exists and we only need to slow down and discover it? Or do you think that people somehow contribute in the process of revealing through the interaction with each other in their time and space?
You know, I believe truth is always there. In the 6 scriptures it says, Aaj sach, Jugaad sach, hai bhi sach, hosi bhi sach. It means the truth was there in the beginning. The truth is there today. The truth is always going there to be there till the end of our existence. And so the truth is always there. It's a question of how do we find what the truth is. And so as human beings, we've been all searching for the truth. You know, we all live on this earth at this time. We all wonder about creation. So science also is telling us that we are in one of the galaxies. Okay, there are many other galaxies which are around there. That scientists are telling us. The saints tell us that there are many spiritual regions beyond the physical. Like the scriptures talk about the heavens, and many scriptures talk about various spiritual regions of existence. So through meditative practices, we can access those spiritual regions, and we can get to understand or realize what the truth is. Where are we living and how we related to all of this creation. You know, we as human beings have always tried to find out what our relation with the Creator is, whether we call the Creator God or by any other name. And so saints and mystics have always been talking in all kinds of traditions, which is called the esoteric side of our faith. It's the inner side of our faith, which deals with introspection, going within, whether you call it praying with attention or meditation. These are all names for similar techniques. So find out who are we, what makes us tick, and what is our relation with the Creator. So that truth is always there. If we focus in the right direction, we can always get to that truth. It's a question of how sincere are we in our efforts, and Just like, when we go to school to learn physics or chemistry or maths, we need to go to a teacher to learn something. We need some guidance in the spiritual arena too. That's what we believe in.
In Greek language, the word meditate is dialogizome, and the word dialogue or establish dialogue is dialogos. So the linguistic root of those two words, they are very close, they are actually the same. I was wondering if in your practice there is some sort of connection between those two things.
Yeah, there definitely is. When we, it's the same connection which is between prayer and meditation. See, when we pray, we are talking to God. We're saying, God, please give me this because I need this. Let's say someone is sick in the family, so we pray that they get well. If an exam is coming, the student is saying, let me pass. So we are praying for things for ourselves. And we believe meditation is like listening to God, because meditation is a process of quietening ourselves, putting us in a state where we are ready to listen. And so there is definitely a connection, because we want to dialogue as a soul with the oversoul or with God. And so both of them are very connected. So meditative practices are there so that we can dialogue with God and we're able to find out the truth. The one who tells the truth is the Lord. The Lord reveals of himself whichever way he wants. So we have to be in a position to receive whatever God has to give us. And so we can be in a dialogue with God to be able to ask questions that are very intricate, that we don't get answers to from any place else. And so to us, meditation and a dialogue with God are very, very similar, because as we are in a position to receive the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of the soul, the connection with the Creator, then we have to be able to be open to receive what God is giving us. So there is definitely the meditative practice is a kind of dialogue with the Lord to know the truth.
Which are the most crucial, the most important and urgent problems, according to your opinion, of the humanity in this predicament?
I think one of the things which is very difficult today is a lot of stress in the life of everyone. Our globe has become very small. Communication is very rampant. And so today, every day we interact with many, many people of different backgrounds, different cultures, different understandings. So as our interactions are getting more and more and more, so are the stresses and strains, because our understanding might not be exactly like theirs. And so their reactions might be different. And so today people are under much more stress than they were ever before. And the more stress we have, the more difficult for us to still the mind. The more distractions we have, the more difficult to concentrate. And so I think this is more of a problem than anything else, to be able to get to the truth.
How do you perceive what is happening in Greece at the moment? One of the saddest expressions of the credit crunch and the financial and political instability that has been going on for some time are the increased number of committed suicides, as well as the increased number of psychopathologies, as the stress that you've mentioned, or depression, etc. How do you perceive all this situation?
I think the country is going through a very difficult period. Whenever there's economic stress, we've seen in history, times are difficult for the people of that country. But we should also know that if we look back at history, there are some bad times, and then there are some good times, and then there are some bad times. And there's some difficulties, but that time passes away too. So I feel this is a passing phase. I just pray to God that things for the citizens of this country get better and better. I think to deal with it, if people have more faith in God, then they'll be able to go over this very difficult period. But if their faith shakes and it breaks, then it gets very difficult. And so I truly believe that even though things look very bad, that sometimes whatever is best for us is happening in our life, and we might not be able to understand that. Because maybe a few years later we find out, or maybe it was a downturn we had to go through, and something good will come out of it. So I am quite positive that good things should be coming to Greece. And I just pray to God that in the meantime, that the people have faith in God. God, the Creator, we believe in through many different names. And so whatever our belief is in, if we have faith in that, I think then we'll be able to pass through this very, very difficult phase. But it's if we look back at history, difficult times come, but then we pass them through. So this is a difficult period. I hope I just feel if the faith in God is strengthened and is more, then all difficulties will fade away with time.
So you don't believe in conspiracy theories or in bad political and financial intentions?
There are. I think there is goodness in every human being. Okay, there are. We in the East believe in karma, and so there's individual karma, then there's collective karma, and sometimes this is why we have ups and downs in life. Sometimes an illness comes in, we haven't done anything wrong, but we get sick. Or sometimes someone gets in an accident, look like they didn't do anything wrong. We don't understand why it came, but it did come. And sometimes a poor person wins the lottery ticket, we don't know why. Things happen. So I just feel that it's the way that we look at things. I just feel this is a difficult period, it should pass away.
Can we somehow influence or change that karma?
We believe that 75% of our life is preordained, but we have 25% free will. So in that 25% free will, we can definitely change our karma. We can focus on what is good. And so it's in that realm that we want to know the truth. Because 75% we believe in our tradition is preordained, is bound to happen. We can't change that. But 25% is the new karma that we create. And that's where we can change our life to go in a direction which will make us know the truth, be a part of the truth, and get to be closer to realizing who we are.
How can you understand and explain conflicts that they're going on right now worldwide, from the Arab Spring to the indignant movements in Spain, in Greece, to the Occupy the Wall Street movement in the US?
If we look back at history, there has always been turmoil. And there hasn't been any 10 years where there hasn't been some war, some battle, something going on. And so we as human beings, because of our egos, have always tried to get the better of someone else and show that we know more, we are better or something. And so we believe that as people get closer to God, as they realize that there is oneness, because as we go within, as we meditate, we experience our oneness with God. And once we experience the oneness with God, we realize that we're all one and the same. Then we'll realize that there's no high or there's no low. There were, very interestingly, there was a genome project, which was done just 5-7 years back, where they were trying to look at the genes of human beings, different kinds. And they came up with the answer that there are between 20,000, 25,000 genes that we all have. Okay. And what is very interesting is they came up with the conclusion that more than 99% of the genes of everyone is one and the same. The only difference is some say it's less than 1%, some say less than 0.5%, some say less than 0.1%. There's different groups. But no one says it's any more than 1%. And they say that accounts for our features, the color of our skin, and our outer things. That more than 99% of all of us are one and the same. Science is even telling us that. And so we only are focusing on the 1% or less than 1%, which is different. If we realize that even from a scientific point of view, that we are one and the same, then what is the question of trying to kill someone or show someone that we're bigger? Then I think things will be better for everyone. And I think that realization sets in if we experience some light within, some connection with the Lord.
You've traveled all over the world, is that right?
Yeah, I've traveled many parts in the world.
Europe, Africa, Australia, Oceania, Asia, North America.
Mm-hmm.
And you've met some very important people as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, what can you say about the poor people that at this very moment suffer around the world?
I would say as I travel, I get to meet all kinds of people, and in every place you have some people who are financially not doing as well as others, and you always want to extend a helping hand to them. So as our organization, we help wherever we can. Like the tsunami came in, and we built a village in India. From our volunteers went and built a whole village. We donated 3 schools when some other calamity came in another part of the world.
And you've been to New Orleans as well?
We've been to New Orleans, we helped in South America when they had some troubles about 25 years ago. So we try to help upraise the community. Like just recently I was in Delhi, and we have a youth group, young adults, and they gathered together and they got 19,000 pieces of clothes that they distributed to the poor. We also do free cataract operations for those who can't afford, and we give like appliances for the handicaps. And so we as a mission are trying to help whatever we can. You want your very best to help someone who's going through a difficult period. And I think the people who have, if they can help the people who don't have, then things will be better for everyone all around. It's like human beings as such, in the kind of world that we live, all gravitate based on their intelligence, based on their education, based on it. You either make more money or less money. And I think the key is to educate the people. If the people would be educated, they will get out of poverty. So our mission has started about 17 schools. We have 16 in India, one we have in Colombia, in South America. And in the schools, we are encouraging people to be more spiritual. One of the periods is focus on spirituality. So we generally have 9 periods, and we took 5 minutes for each one, the 8 periods, and made an extra one. And in that, we are trying to focus on becoming a good human being, to know more about like various faiths and religions, so that we all understand each other better, because we're living in a very small globe today. And we're finding that the students who are coming out seem to be much more calm, much more peaceful. And hopefully, as their education goes, and we have 25% of the kids who come to the school are put through the school without having to pay any fees. So we try to do the best we can to uplift them. I think education is the key. If we can educate the people, if the poor people can be educated properly, then they would have means to be able to use their skills and try to make better living for themselves.
I was wondering what the science of spirituality could say when a white man cannot accept a black man as equal, or a straight man, a gay man as equal.
We are encouraging people to relate to each other at the human level and not at the race level. So in our organization, we have people who follow different faiths, we have people who have different color skins, and we have a tradition. So we're encouraging people to recognize that first we are a human being in this world. Okay? Before that, we are a soul. Our real existence at the level of the soul. So our soul is not of any faith. The faith comes because of being in the body, and then whatever household we got brought up in, and whatever we learned or we changed our faith. That we are a soul first, and we're a human being, and irrespective of our outer signs, we all come into the world the same way, we go the same way. That we are all one and the same. And I think irrespective of whatever our social status is, our financial status is, and whatever our beliefs are, to us, everyone is equal. They might have beliefs that we pray to God this way or this way or this way. That doesn't matter. But we need to realize that we're all one and the same, and we feel that only sets in if we find some connection with God. If I don't have a connection with God, then I can never realize that I have a connection with you or him or him or him if I've never seen you. But if I have a connection with God, then chances are that I realize if a part of God is residing in me, which is my soul, then God is very big, and another part is residing in you also. And so, we have a traditional way of greeting, which is like folding our hands and like bowing down a little bit when we greet. And to me, it's very interesting. So, irrespective of whether we are followers of one faith, we have one culture, we are rich or poor, we believe in one thing or another, the way we speak, the way our color skin is, the way our features are. What's interesting is when you look at your hands, all the fingers and the thumb are different. Even these two fingers are not the same. And these two are not the same. If you look at anyone's hand, these are all different. But we feel all of these can come together. And what is very interesting is generally when you fold your hands, your thumbs are always pointing up. So we believe, like, irrespective of whatever differences we think we have, we can all come together, and generally we think God as being overhead. God is the commonality that we all have. And so when we see someone, we fold our hands, we bow down. So we are bowing down not to the person, but to the God in that person. The realization that this is not a human being, this is a part of God. I think when that realization sets in, then commonality is going to come all over the world. And that comes when we get that transformation happen within, when we realize that a part of God is in us. So that's what I believe.
One of the problems of the modern societies is the absence of trust between the citizens and the state, particularly due to the lack of justice or due to cases where fraud is happening or the usage of public sources for individualistic purposes. I was wondering how well can someone cope with his or her inner self in a society like this, where there is the feeling that there is no justice?
There's in many parts of the world there's that feeling. There's corruption, there's injustice, judges get bought out. This, you hear that all over the world. We live in a society, and the society has its norms, and the norms should be met as well as possible. So I think as an individual, it becomes a responsibility to correct whatever most we can, to do our very best so that we ourselves don't fall into that category. We have to first lead lives which are proper ourselves. So ethically. So if we're going to live ethically ourselves, then the responses from us to whatever we are involved in are going to be well. Okay? And so slowly as we... So who lives ethically? Those who love God. Those whose faith in is God. Look at the life of Saint Francis of Assisi. Okay? Saint Francis of Assisi, he loved the animals, and there's so many stories of him helping the animals and the fish and the bird. Why? Because he came to the realization that God is not only in human beings but also in all other living forms. Animals, fish, bird, and there's so many interesting stories about him. And I think slowly as people start to realize that, hey, we're all one and the same, then only you start to have faith in someone. It's like if you don't trust someone, then your life becomes miserable as it is. If you have some faith and trust, and the responses then will hopefully come to be better. So it's a question of first trying to fix our own lives and be ethical in all of our dealings, and then we'll see, like, let's say a few people become ethical here, hopefully their circle gets better, and a few people get ethical here and their circle is getting bigger, hopefully this circle gets big, this circle big, and we get to a state where there's kind of peaceful coexistence and heaven here on earth, and this need to be corrupt, to make money by illegal means, and to be showing that we are more powerful will fade away. These all come because of our ego. And the ego can only be curbed when it realizes a higher power.
Are there any other deadly sins then?
There are. Well, I think the ego is at the heart of all the sins. Just thinking that one is better than someone else, and to gloat about it, to show about it, is when things don't happen the way we want, we get angry. That's a part of that. We become greedy because we want to take more for ourselves from others. So greed and anger and lust and attachment, they all come from ego. Okay? And so if we can control our ego, we can only control it if we believe there's someone higher than us. If we don't have any faith in God, and we believe we are the highest one who's there, then, and this is what happens when you look back at history, at the lives of many conquerors and people who came and ravaged other countries, that they started to believe that they were the highest. And so I think as the spiritual aspect of our life gets more and more grounded into our life, then only we'll be able to get to a state where things get calmer, peaceful, and we start to look at each other as being equals.
So what do you think that it is the key to the unity of the people?
I think the key to the unity of people is to experience some unity by ourselves. We read about unity. As we grow up, we all study about unity of being one. But unless we experience it, it doesn't come into play. So we feel as we grow on the spiritual path, as we start to know the truth, as we experience God in our life, then that actually transforms us. Because then we realize, okay, if I can be conscious, God is within me, then God is also in someone else, and then that equality sets in. So it's the experience of God in our lives that makes us understand that we are one and the same. Otherwise, it's only, we read something, it's only analytical, it's only at the level of the mind, and nothing goes beyond that. So experiencing is very important.
If we cannot see the oxygen, but we can breathe through that, can we also say that God is everywhere, even though we cannot see Him?
Yeah, God is everywhere because, see, we believe that the Creator is in the creation. And so what is very interesting is, when I was going to school many years ago, we were taught that the smallest elements were atoms, and you break them down into protons, electrons, and neutrons, and we were taught they're all solid. Yeah. Now, as they've got more accelerometers and they're breaking these into smaller particles, now they say that they have 12 quarks, which is at the heart of the smallest particle. And they're saying these are not solid, these are vibrations. And the vibration is so fast that the machinery first could not decipher it. Now they can. The last one they found, and they called it a God particle, just a few years ago, out of those 12 particles. And so now the scientists are telling me that the heart of everything is a vibration. And we believe that that is what is the holy word, or the Naam, or the Shabd, or the Logos that we find in all of our scriptures. That, like in the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the scriptures in the Sikh, says, Avval Allah Noor Paya, Kudrat ke sab bande, Ek Noor te sab jag upja, Kaun bhale kaun mande, which means in the beginning was God, and from God came this creative power, they call it Noor, or they call it Shabd. It says all creation came from that, so who are we to say this is high, this is low, this is good and this is bad? Everything from God is equal. And so most of the scriptures talk about this holy word or the Naam or the Shabd, which is like a vibration, which is in the heart of every particle. And I think science is also getting to that same conclusions as we're getting it there.
How feelings such as pain, confusion, or guilt can be handled through meditation?
Pain and guilt and confusion come in because we feel depressed. Things are not happening as we want, and difficulties of life are such that we find it difficult to handle it. So when we meditate, what happens is we find like a peaceful retreat within ourselves. Okay? So our attention is into the love and joy that we have within. So we are defocused from the pain and the guilt and everything else, because we've raised our consciousness away from that into an arena of happiness and joy. Because meditative is a process which connects us with the love of the Lord, and as we experience more and more love of God, then we get happy and joyous, and we are in a state of bliss. And so not only are we in that state for the time that we meditate, but that state linger on and on and on. And so many doctors are using meditative techniques today to deal with their patients who have physical pain, who have depression going in their life, to have them be defocused from those states for long periods of time so that they can go on with their life properly.
You've talked to us before about the ego and how it influences us. I was wondering if humility, according to your opinion, is a value of nature or nurture?
I think humility is a value that we inculcate. It needs to be nurtured. Okay? It is inherent in each one of us, but our mind is trying to take us away from humility, put us into an egoistic situation. So we need to nurture the humility that we have, and then that gets nurtured as the connection with the divine power happens, because humility shows that we are at par with others that we meet, and that we're not like above them to show that they need to do things for us. So humility is a process by which we take care in our dealings with others and realize that we are all equal, and that feeling needs to be nurtured in us. And so even though it is a part of us, if we don't nurture it, because the ego takes over very quickly, so that has to be nurtured, and we feel that comes in as the realization sets in that we are all one and the same. So unless we have that realization, it will never work in our life. So it all goes back to experiencing that for ourselves.
How would you relate the mediation as a practice? Well, we've talked about the God and the religion, and with art.
You know, art. The artistic expression is a gift of the Lord. Some people are born with that. These are people who are very sensitive on the inside, and God has given them the gift to create something so unusual in this world, which other people enjoy. So when you look at the life of the artist, you find that they are very concentrated. Okay? Whether they be artists, whether they be musicians, whether they be sculptors, painters, they're very concentrated in the work. And so that also is one kind of a meditative practice, because they're so concentrated that they can block everything else off, come up with something new. And so I feel all the artists in all the various fields, he definitely have a gift of the Lord to be in that direction.
Today, everywhere I look, I find people that they're trying hard to get better, to get along with the world around them, and even though they try hard, they remain unhappy. Why do you think personal fulfillment is so elusive?
You know, personal fulfillment is elusive because we are looking for personal fulfillment in the wrong arena. See, we think if we have more money, then we will be happier. We think if our body is more fit, we would be happier. We feel if our relationships are better, we would be happier. Little do we realize that these are all temporary phases of life. No? What brings us true happiness is to connect with something that's permanent. Because in life we see that there will be times we'll have more money, sometimes we have less money. There will be times when the body is fit, sometimes it has a difficult time. And these are temporary phases. So we believe those who connect their lives with God, because God is permanent, God was there in the beginning, God is there today, God is always going to be there. And those who experience the love of the Lord are the ones who then will be totally fulfilled, because their connection with something permanent is there. And so rather than go for something which is temporary, because everything in this world is temporary, stays for a while. Let's say you have the Acropolis, it stood for maybe 2,000 years and then went away. Anything that we build here, buildings, anything, human beings, we all physically die one day. So everything in this world deteriorates.
Though someone would argue with you by saying that even though some things or some people die, their ideal, their vision remains alive, no matter the physical existence.
Yeah, but they've gone, the physical existence is gone, the soul remains. So where are we going to get happiness which is everlasting? Our connection needs to be with something which is permanent. And what is permanent is the Creator. It's always there. It's not going anyplace. So when we connect with God, when we connect with the Creator, then that is the source of giving us total happiness and joy. And so when we focus in that direction, then only are we going to be totally fulfilled. And there are examples after examples of the lives of saints and mystics who were very happy, very fulfilled, whose attention was on God and not in this world. And this is why today we revere the teachings of the saints and mystics much more than we take the lives of the kings or the artists or the conquerors. Why? Because they were the ones who were peaceful, who were calm, who were happy, who had attained their oneness with God. And this is why we revere them so much more.
So permanent happiness sounds like everyone is looking for it, but why we can't succeed on that? Why? Isn't the connection with something?
I think if we were to focus more towards our attention on God, we would definitely find permanent happiness. And if those people who focus more on God are the ones who are the happiest, but those people who are only looking for happiness in worldly things will never be happy, because these things are always temporary. Let's say you get a nice house, then someone else has another house, you want a bigger house, you have one car, you want two cars, because the mind is not letting you settle on it. But when you go and you focus your attention on God, and the happiness that you get is kind of permanent, it stays there because you are connecting with something that is more permanent. And I think that's the key to be totally happy and not be focused on trying to find happiness in the outer parts of our life.
You've met very important and influential people all over the world, from Pope to Dalai Lama. I was wondering, which are the spiritual gifts that someone gets when he or she meets these people?
They when you meet them closely and get a chance to talk to them, and they are very, very wonderful. In their presence, you can feel a calm and a peacefulness. They exuberate their love for God, and so when you're in the presence, your attention also goes in that arena. And I think that's the beauty of meeting them, because when you are with them, your attention is just uplifted from the physical towards the divine, and that's what you find when you meet people like that.
Is there anything changing within your soul by meeting people like this?
When you meet someone who's spiritually evolved, let's say, their presence has an effect on you. Things that you might not have thought about, you start to think. Just the presence might put a thought in your head which drives you towards God. And so many times after a meeting like that, there's some transformation that happens. And it's not at the physical level, it's more at the spiritual level. And that's, I think, the beauty of meeting people like that.
How the Greek spirit, how the Greek culture has influenced you through your lifetime?
As a young child, as I went to school, you learn about the Greek culture, you learn about the Roman culture, you learn about all the cultures. I think with the Olympics, the Greek culture has been very, very robust. I've been here a few times before. I've always enjoyed being in this country. The athletic part has been one, but I've also found that people seem to be quite spiritually inclined, to me at least, people who come to the talks and the ones that I get to meet. And so I think that the culture background has been strong over the years, and I just feel like even though this is a very difficult phase in the life of many people, but the strengths have been there over the years. It's just been a tremendous, tremendous culture. And so I'm very sure with God's grace, they're going to get out of this difficult period that I'm in today.
You've been awarded with a medal for the peace in New York. Which is your vision for the future? It's a big award.
I feel for peace to come in the world, we as individuals need to be peaceful ourselves. See, if we are in turmoil, then we are going to put turmoil all around us. But if we are at peace with ourselves, then that peace is going to radiate from us. So this is why we believe like the peace is within us, and so we need to, like I have a saying, it says peace begins with you. Okay? So with each one of us, peace begins. Generally, it's very easy to say you be peaceful, and you be peaceful, and you be peaceful, but we're not peaceful ourselves. So I have to be peaceful for some peace to be going around me. And this is where we think the meditative practices help, because they calm you down, and as you get more peaceful yourself, then it affects your family, your spouses, your children, your parents, your neighborhoods, and slowly, I feel like as some individuals are peaceful here, and some are here, and some are here, this has to help the whole globe.
This interview is coming to its end, and I was wondering if there is any message that you would like to leave with us, some kind of wisdom that it can help us.
Yeah, I just would like to leave you with a very small meditative practice. Meditation is not difficult to do. All we need to do is still the body and still the mind. So to still the body, we find a quiet place to sit down to meditate. We can stay in our home and meditate. We don't have to go outside. You can meditate just about any place. If the place is quiet, our sense of hearing is withdrawn. When we can meditate any place, we feel like the whole world is holy. So we don't like light incense or bring up incenses, so sense of smell is withdrawn. We don't eat as we meditate, so sense of taste is withdrawn. When we sit to meditate, we make sure no part of our body touches the person next to us, so that a sense of touch is withdrawn, and we close our eyes, withdrawing a sense of sight. So by finding a quiet place and sitting down and closing our eyes, these 5 senses can be withdrawn very easily. Now generally what happens is, when you close your eyeball should be straight, as if you focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. Many people think that the seat of the soul is here, and they raise their eyeballs. And if you do that, we realize that these eyes are made of flesh and blood. They only see what is in front of us and throw impression on a retina for a brain to know what to do. And so we close them so that they don't distract us. What we experience is with our inner or a single eye, which is here, between and behind the 2 eyebrows. And so as we close our eyes, everyone finds the same difficulty, which is that the thoughts come to us. As soon as we close our eyes to sit in silence, thoughts will come. So the thoughts come from the mind. So to keep the mind from sending thoughts, so we just repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with, whosoever you believe in. What that does is that it takes the energy of the mind and focuses it on God. And it's then that in the darkness, light will sprout forth. You'll see flashes of light, you'll see circles of light. Light could be of various colors. It could be golden, it could be red, it could be white, blue, orange, or any other color. Well, in the beginning, it looks like the light is coming and going, but with time it stabilizes. What is actually happening is that the light of God is within each and every one of you. And as we concentrate, we experience the light. So in the beginning, we are distracted a lot, so we see like flashes of light, and with time, as our concentration improves, then we experience the light in as effulgence. And as they stabilize, there are many other vistas that we experience with them. Sky, stars, moon, suns, and much more. And by being in that state, it really calms us. And that's, I think, if you were to sit for a few minutes daily in silence, a transformation will automatically come. So I want to leave all of you with that thought. And I just also want to leave with another thought. I just pray that the faith in God, in whatever your beliefs are, is strengthened, so that the difficult phase that the people in Greece are passing through is going to fade away, and good times are going to be here soon.
Master Rajinder Singh, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm wishing all the best for the continue of your spiritual trip.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here in Crete with all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've watched the interview with the internationally recognized expert and teacher of mediation, Master Ratzinder Singh. Thank you very much for watching us.